The next choice brings us back into the 20th century for an album called Horizons, French Melody, a recital from mezzo Kitty Whately, songs by 7 composers. Now, 5 of them are women, and, well, 1 or 2 new names to most of us, I suspect, and new songs as well.
Yeah, quite a few of the names are new to me. Armande de Polignac, more of her later. Rita Stroll, who set some of the songs from the Chanson de Mélodies, which Debussy, we hear the Debussy settings there as well. And Edwige Herchenroder, whose songs are given their first ever recording on this disc. You know, Kitty Whately, she's such an enterprising artist, and this is a real work of very devoted scholarship, I would say, to find this music and to bring it together so intelligently.
And are we dealing with a sort of single period? This is the sort of beginning of the 20th century in Paris, isn't it? And a sort of time of optimism and cultural endeavour.
Yeah, we're dealing, we're looking at a time when there were various things in the air. There's, such an interest, such an obsession with classical culture. So the Chanson de Mélodies are, sets of poems that were being sort of passed around, composers and their, possibly fake ancient Greek stories, supposed lesbian poetry, sapphic poetry, but also the atmosphere of a real obsession with Asia, with the East, with, the exoticism, to use that controversial word. And there's another set of poems on this disc which 2 of the composers have set, Marguerite Canal and Armande de Polignac. And those poems are the Jade Flute. It's a collection of Chinese poems from the 7th to the 17th century, translated. There was a translation appeared by the French poet Franz Toussaint, and they became very popular.
Very fashionable, weren't they? But the interesting thing, though, we're going to hear some of the songs, some of the settings by Armande de Polignac, and she, unlike some of the other composers that were fascinated by the East, she went there. Yeah,
well, she was, as the name might give away, if you know anything about Paris in that period, she was a woman of means, and she didn't have to do what, for example, Debussy did and rely on the exhibition, the great exhibition coming to Paris, and to hear Javanese gamelan or Chinese music. She was able to travel to Asia herself and to experience these things firsthand. She was the niece of the Prince Edmond de Polignac, who married Winnaretta Singer, the heir to the sewing machine empire, who became the famous Princess de Polignac, and the great salon hostess, the great patroness of composers from Ravel to Stravinsky, commissioner of great works from all of these people, including De Falla. So she was in that milieu.
She was part of that circle.
Yeah, she was part of that set.
Well, look, let's hear the songs, because it is interesting hearing how she brings these Eastern influences into the piano part, particularly.
Yeah, I find her settings of these jade flute songs utterly striking. We're going to hear 3 of them. They're very short. The first song is so short, and it's mainly piano, in fact, and it's called Winter Night, and it sets a tiny little poem which goes, "The cracking of the bamboo tells us that winter is here." The second poem describes the palace gardens, lots of seductive, erotic imagery. And in the third, a man describes nature in sensual terms, ending with the line, "I wonder if my wife doesn't think I'm up to something."
Well, here's the first one. Winter Night, the crackling of the bamboo and the snow outside. The breeze has just risen, the tree trembles like a young girl in love. Gleaming fish leap on the surface of the lake. I wonder whether my wife thinks I'm up to something. It's a lovely little poem, isn't it? Qui Fong, ending that sequence of 3 songs from The Jade Flute, settings by Debussy's younger female contemporary Armande de Polignac, whose experiences of travel in Asia colour her songs, I think. And mezzo Kitty Whately and pianist Edwige Herchenroder are behind this recital. Did they manage to convey the mysterious East, Gillian, as far as you're concerned?
Yeah, I think Kitty Whately brings such nuance and storytelling to the poetry of these songs. And Edwige Herchenroder, she is a French pianist. It's And you just heard in that last one, almost that sound of like the Debussy pagode, that sort of
Yes.
really sonorous playing, but also clarity and lots of colour, lots of saturated colour to the piano part. It's for me, it's really worth mentioning that it's still unusual to see two women performing together on a song recital or an album, because the world of collaborative pianists is changing, but it's been such a male preserve. And this album triumphantly puts women at the forefront of everything.
It does. It's very well put together. There are discoveries to be made here for sure. Horizons, French Melody from Kitty Whately and Edwige Herchenroder. That's new from Chandos, released yesterday. And your last new thing, Gillian, it's Sibelius.